5 quotes a day and 40% close rate. The system behind a high-performing insurance team. Welcome to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast.
We're your hosts, David and Elle Denning.
What happens when a millennial couple dives headfirst into the insurance world, scales $1 million remote business, and decides to share the journey with the world?
You get the Modern Insurance Agent.
Here, we reveal the messy, magical, and sometimes hilarious realities of building a business and a life you love.
From traveling the globe to building remote teams. Yes, even working remotely on top of a mountain in the Philippines. We're sharing insights, strategies, and plenty of laughs to help agents and entrepreneurs succeed.
Because, let's face it, success isn't just about hitting numbers.
It's about designing a life that works for you.
So let's dive in and build something extraordinary together. Welcome back to the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. Today's guest proves that success isn't about avoiding challenges. It's about finding ways to thrive in spite of them. But before we dive in, you can get all the resources, show notes, as well as how to connect with our amazing guest if you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast. We got it all put together for you. Make sure you go and grab it as we get ready to hop in. So Mike Callahan runs a farmer's insurance agency out of Garland, Texas. In just 5 years, he's led his team to record-breaking production, landing in the Topper Club, and building a quoting machine that's getting results, whether it's writing high volume along the Gulf Coast, serving the Hispanic market, or learning how to pivot when rates spike. Mike brings practical wisdom and serious strategy. So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you, David. Great to be here.
Happy to have you. It was good getting to see and reconnect with you a little bit in person out in Dallas a little bit earlier this month, and had a lot of fun there. And with that, I want to talk a little bit about that journey. We've known you for a long time, and you've been in this industry for over 5 years now. What was the moment where it clicked that you were onto something scalable and that this, was like, okay, it's really clicking, things are rolling here?
Yeah, we'll celebrate our 6th anniversary come this November. So we started working with you and Elle. Really about 6-8 months in, and where we built up, and was really about July of 23 when things really started to click for us. We learned what was working and what didn't work for us, and just once we saw where we could make some money and get things going, we just attacked that line of the business and really got after it. So.
I love it. And from there, continued to do so, right? 25 straight months of bonuses on personal lines, and that is consistent. What's made the biggest difference around that?
So, we dealt with some things over the last 5 years, as we all have. I was 4 months in when COVID shut everything down. The plus about it was nice and easy to drive to work at those points. So
no cars on the road, right?
No,
yeah,
there wasn't, and of course
hopefully claims went down. Yeah,
claims went down. We were rebating a lot of money to folks, but it was a tough time to start a business, and then of course as soon as we came back really to life after about 18 months, I think in Texas probably about a year we had enough of everything, and we were getting moving again. Then the rates started to jump up, all those things that caused insurance to go haywire, the supply chain things, people not back at work, et cetera, the inflation, all those things really hit and caused everything to go to a halt there. And then we took some major rate after that. I think about 22, 23, in those years, we were, double rate increases over what a lot of our competitors were. Okay. So what we wound up doing was looking for those areas of the state where we could prosper. Okay. So to give you an example, in last year, starting out in 2024, farmers decided that the immediate areas around where we are, Dallas County, the whole Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, basically we weren't going to sell any new houses over $1 million. Okay, it had to be where the house and auto was bundled, or they weren't going to cover it, and so that made for several adjustments we had to make here. And so we concentrated our areas really in central, west, and then along the Gulf Coast of Texas. And so from there, we were able to really make some headway and increase that growth of what we have.
All of that, being able to pivot, shift, focus, and not only COVID and rate increases, but also product limitation. I mean, there's always challenges that pop up in growing business. It'd be nice if it was smooth and easy, but then I guess everybody would do it, right?
Exactly.
But with that, like, what, how do you address those challenges pop up as far as what keeps you going in front of that, and also help and guide your team through that as well?
So, David, you and Elle mentioned in your startup commercial there about being millennials and traveling the world there. So I'll share with you kind of a standard joke that I do. I sold film for a living for 25 years prior to me moving in the insurance business. Selling film in a digital world was not an easy task. And I don't care what goes on in this business. I can still sell. I can sell insurance because everybody has to have it. Versus when I look at something on a cell phone that did entirely away with the industry that I worked in prior to that. Okay, so I used to say, I was a buggy whip salesman selling in the day of the automobile. So yeah, this is not going to hinder me whether I got to deal with rate, whether I've got to deal with areas where we can't sell. Let's figure out where the heck we're going to go and go and do it.
Of adaptability, right? Not be like, oh, it's a challenge, I give up. But hey, we're going to find the way through this, and that's where your business is growing, right? Overcome the challenges and willing to adapt in ever changing landscape, right? Like, especially I think these last 5 years have been an ongoing change. We were just talking about transportation and a lot of that industry and some of the challenges they're going through on that side, and the frustrations that it can lead to it, and which means those are the people we get to interact with every day as prospects and clients that they get to go through that. So having a really good team, really good CSRs and service is big and key, and I know that you take that to heart. And a part of that is the help from the team, right? So you mentioned using a VA to tee up your lead pipeline. I think a lot of agents are interested in that, maybe that haven't tapped into virtual assistants and leveraging help. Maybe they wear all the hats, or just to have just them and some producers. Can you walk us through how has that worked and kind of the impact that's had for you?
Sure. So we started really about 3 years ago with the VA. We had a couple of folks working for us, really started part-time out of the Philippines. And so I would, they were my marketing aspect. Okay. So that's really the way that we had started out doing it, hand them lead list. And they were essentially, from being a telemarketer. I would have liked at the time to be able to do more, but the way Farmers works is any of those lists that they have in their system, it's not going to go outside the 50 states here. So I couldn't give international access to anybody. So, all right, let's use our VA as a telemarketer, and then they would hand off to myself or our producer, and we would go from there. So that was fine. We had that working, still dealing up in those first 3 years. I went through numerous producers that trying to find that right person that would, and I don't even worry about, the number of calls that they make in a day. Early on, I worked, we looked at that. It's all right. How many calls did you get in today? What I really started looking at was the amount of time they were spending on the phone. And so I've kind of changed that focus rather than saying, okay, I need you to make 100 calls or 200 calls today. how much talk time are you having? I mean, legitimate talk time, not how's the weather and that's fine a little bit, but let's get down to the brass tacks here, so to speak, right? So, but anyway, so I went through probably 6 producers before I found the right person. And even when that right person came in, she had started out. She's actually, was my customer service / salesperson. And since that time, two years ago, I guess, July of 23, we added a new sales producer, bilingual, so she could talk to the Hispanic community. And so between the two of them, I had them essentially calling. One was doing the service work, one doing the, doing the sales and so forth. And they would at that point take in all the information from the VA and be able to work that side of things. At that time, what I started doing though was probably maybe a little bit before that, probably early spring of 23. Instead of doing the VA from the Philippines, we started doing live transfers. So I connected with one of the lead companies and basically allowed them to be my telemarketer and go through this. And so what was going on is we were taking in 3 calls a day. Okay. And so it's an expensive way to do it. But when I started looking at the numbers that I wanted to bring in, 3 calls a day, they were costing us at the time about $50 a lead. It's a little bit more now. More people have gotten into this method, but about $50 for the areas we wanted to cover. And then, of course, they did all the front end loading and so forth. So so let you be my telemarketer, and then my producer would take the call, and then she was, handling quite a few of those. So her close ratio, she was really closing about 1.5 out of the 3 calls, maybe 1.25 every 3 calls that she was taking. Okay, so I haven't looked at the exact number here lately, but and then and even now we've actually changed. I've got a new producer in here that just started this month with me. So we'll see how those numbers change anyway. But
what was your average premium?
Probably we do home premium probably on average around Dallas Fort Worth is probably just under 3,000.
Okay.
And then auto, we're looking, could be anywhere from 800. I would say about $1,500 on the auto. So
okay.
Standard,
so I mean, yeah. So even on one of those 3's closing, I mean, you're looking at already profitable or even 2x plus off of an average home premium, right? Not to mention any additional cross sells or everything off of that, and then off of retaining them as well. So obviously know your metrics, know your data, and saw that happening. And I like judging the activity around what makes more sense to look at, right? Like dials or number of attempts, but talk time being the actual conversations that the sales come out of, the referrals come out of. And I like the fact of focusing the data metrics on the meaningful information more so than just like the amount of dials, because that seems to be the standard of let's just look at how many attempts they've done. But in reality, like I can attempt however much I want, but unless I'm talking to someone, I can't convert anything out of it. So the ringtone doesn't turn into policies.
Right.
It'd be nice, right? I think a lot of agents would be millionaires if that was the case, right? So I love it. So anything in particular as far as contact rate? I mean, obviously the live transfer is nice because it's 100% contact rate, but out of the outbound, anything that you guys were putting in place to help with contact rate?
The outbound, the other side of this that, makes our office a little bit different. Once we've established that we're very, we concentrate heavily on okay, what quotes did we not close here today?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we track that through our system. Or if our quotes weren't competitive. I mean, that goes back, to what I said about really taking some high rate numbers over the last few years,
Mm-hmm.
before beginning of this year, where it really started to calm down quite a bit. But, for 2 years, like I said, we were one of the highest rate companies out there. I know even my own homeowners insurance, more than doubled over the 3-year period, so.
I cry every time I see my
Oh, I
homeowner's
know.
insurance.
I
So.
know. So, that definitely is one of the interesting topics here that we discuss on a daily basis with our clients. So, but yeah, the other thing that really sets us different than all the other agencies I've ever been to is we average probably 5 a day walk-ins.
Okay.
Okay. So I mentioned the Hispanic community before. And what I found about dealing with the Hispanic community is they will talk to you over the phone once they have established a business relationship with you. So culturally, they want to come and do things in person. So it's very interesting. And I'm generalizing here, but if I wasn't, I wouldn't have this many that come in each day. And so when they come in, they're great for referrals, and they will talk and they will send their friends in, and we continue there. So today we've had 4 different visitors in our office already, and my door's been closed, so we could have had others that I don't even know about.
That's so interesting, because I would say, like, at least from a lot of the agencies we interact with, maybe it's because a lot come off social to connect with us, but I mean, having that amount of walk-ins, period, is not common, right? Like, a lot of
Right.
stuff has moved to phone and digital. So a lot of people are like, view offices, as a bit more of an overhead expense that, why can I just do this from home or wherever, as far as a physical location. But, when you have that sort of walk, I mean, that's a huge benefit of people literally coming in the door, able to sit down in that face-to-face, and me not have to go out and find them. So quick question for you. Do you speak Spanish?
I do not. I've talked to you in the past about my background in, dealing with running a soccer club and so forth. And unfortunately, the only or very limited Spanish I have is how to cuss out a referee in Spanish. But I was,
which is a critical thing to know when you're playing soccer. You gotta know, or football, right? So,
yes, definitely. But other than that, very, very few words. It's funny too, because the producers, obviously, that have been most successful are bilingual. And even my office manager, my first hire as a CSR, she is bilingual, but with Italian. So she speaks fluent Italian, English, of course, but in Italian, very similar. They can kind of, if my producer's not here, she can muddle through usually and handle what they need. So,
and the point of me asking, as we discussed this previously, but was for agents and agency owners kind of listening, being able to bring on team members that maybe be able to help out with Spanish speaking or other languages and cultures, not to be afraid of doing that or implementing that is a great example of, like, I know this is an area that needs help. It's a need. It's an underserved community, especially for the amount of agents that are needed that can help there. And you being able to bring on team members that can help support that, provide that customer service and care, and help them put policies in place that they need. And that's a great example. And so, for people like, I don't speak, well, that's fine. I'll bring on a team member who can and can absolutely help that. So I think it's a perfect example there. And, your numbers, the numbers don't lie. I mean, you're averaging 5+ quotes per day per producer, which is crazy. And 40% close rate, nearly 40% close rate on average. What's and you started hinting a little bit at, like, your follow-up process, kind of sales approach that's driving those numbers, as far as, like, hey, if we have quotes that haven't closed, we're following up off that. Anything else that you find is a big part?
So let's talk about it when we do have a client and our initial follow up. Part of me owning the agency, I was with the district office for a number of years. So these are some things that I picked up, and I would probably spend my time around 40 different agents, and so I knew what worked for some guys, and I knew once I got here some things I wanted to implement, some things I did not want to implement. Right. So, but one of the things that I loved, and I still harp on this all the time, is although the producer may have closed something, let's say they wrote a home and auto, I love for my service manager, my office manager, then to follow up within 10 days to that client and go, hey, okay, I'm from Mike's office. I want to make sure, first of all, did you get everything we said you were going to get? Now, obviously, if it's in Spanish, we can't do that, but still, we figure that part out. Okay. So, but we'll call, did you get everything we said we were going to get? Did you, you got this car covered? Is this the correct email? I've got this number. Is any other number? It's just having a little conversation there. Mm-hmm. But it also, in that conversation, gives me a chance to ask about other things. So I'm a stickler about this one. Tell me, you have, I see that we have, we're covering your home and auto. Maybe we didn't ask you this. Do you have any toys at home? Do you have a boat, a jet ski? Do you have a camper? All those kind of things. And then here's the one that I love asking is one of the things that I found in this office that answers a question down the road, and we're all going to have to deal with it at some point or other, is tell me about your life insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have it at work or if you have it, with another place, so forth. I want to update my records, because if there comes a time that you do pass away, I want to know that I can answer to your beneficiaries that, hey, I know this policy was at such and such, or this policy's here, or no, we offered it to them. They had only insurance at the office, et cetera. So I think that's a really good conversation to have. It's very easy. It's not pushy to somebody, but you can move into that point going, look, we think this is the most important insurance that you can have. You should talk to our agent about this. And usually the life insurance part of this or financial services, they'll hand off to me.
And that's so important. I mean, I find a lot, especially on the PNC side, just don't bring it up, or it's kind of almost like an afterthought, or like, oh, I have to hit 5 of these in a year to hit my bonus or whatever on that side, versus, I mean, it is the most important, policy you can have in place. Right. And it's not always the most fun discussion to bring up, but it's necessary and critical, and that's what we're here for, right? And the car insurance is the most fun insurance topic either, but it's here what we're doing, protecting people and their assets. And so I love that you've built that into an easy conversation process that helps also with the cross sells. And then, as you well know, once you add a life policy to a PNC policy, I mean, you're stacking up with the upper 90% retention, if not like 99 at that point almost.
Right.
And so
exactly.
Helps in a lot of ways. And as far as right now, in terms of either tech or automation, what's working best for you right now? What are you excited about or using heavily that you really enjoy?
Well, I'm trying to teach myself more about AI all the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So I use it personally for some of my investments, which has been interesting. The other thing,
like
though,
trading, or
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So to follow trends and get recommendations and so forth. So here I have my Series 7 and 63 and 24, et cetera. And so even though here we really just offer mutual funds and annuities, I do have a couple different things through other investment accounts that I get to call it my play funds there and so forth. But I'm finding AI is definitely intriguing in how I want to do and how I can work with those things also. So,
And it's only getting started. I mean, imagine the first few years of the internet to what it is now, right? So,
Yes,
and it's moving even
yes,
quicker on the AI side.
yeah.
So I'm
So,
excited.
so one of the other things we're doing with AI is we're working from a standpoint of um, we can use it uh, for training as well. Okay,
Mhm.
like we have a company that we use it for. Like we'll call in and say, and practice just a live call. So my producer can go, okay, hey, I'm gonna call about life insurance today. How do my discussions go? Well, you can build up anything there in the life policy
Yep.
and kind of talk about it and practice there, and then it'll come back and say, here was our discussion, and then we can talk about that. Um, so that's kind
I
of a
love that
unique
for the
piece that we have and are developing more and more. So
role play, the training and stuff on that. Because I mean, I find a lot of agency owners, when you ask them kind of like, hey, what does your sales training look like? Are you doing role play, reviewing calls, or giving feedback? And they're like, I don't have time for any of that. I kind of send them off with a script and tell them good luck. Or, every once in a while we try to, talk about an objection.
yep,
But being able to leverage AI, especially where I've trained it on responses or how the process, fed it script and or common like frameworks for handling objections and all that, can very much like, hey, here's exactly what's to be expected. Here's their call and analyze points for improvement. And, it's been trained to, here's how Mike would say that you did. And here's how Mike would say to handle that or what could be done differently. And so they can have access to what used to be, well, hopefully whenever Mike's free or has some time, he can talk to me. Right. So I don't know. I like the idea of the sales coaching and the training, the asking about the cross sells, the referrals, or, successfully rapport building. It's exciting to see where that's going. So I
I
love that
mean
you're already
it's an
leveraging.
easy way to go. The machine's not going to criticize you here. But you're going to get, you're going to figure out, okay, this is what I'm doing. Maybe I'll tweak it a little bit this way and so forth. So it's a great way to practice, right?
You can make it criticize, right? It'd be very, very mean and very direct, and like,
You could,
it's
you
like
could, but
depends what style you want it to go, right?
yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't think producers crying is probably ever a too great thing, right? So,
Well, I'm big.
encouraging and
Yes. And I am big on training that if I wasn't, we would have never met, David. So, the whole
it's true,
time
it's true.
that I've been an agency owner, I've always tried to get out there and learn more and try to
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit better. And whether it's some online training I'm doing or whether it is, attending 8% where I saw you a couple weeks
Mm-hmm.
ago,
Yep.
it doesn't matter. It's, all those things can help increase your profitability. So I had a guy tell me a long time ago when I started in business. He said, um, the only thing worse than training people and having them leave is not training them and having them stay.
Mm,
So,
mm,
so
that's
I've always
good.
thought about that and said, okay, let's train our people. Let's get better. Let's have them get better and see what kind of improvement it helps you make in your own location.
Love that. That's going to make a great social clip from the podcast there. So, because it's so true, and there is not surprisingly a direct correlation between training and learning and applying, and honestly staying on top of the game as well to growth, and persistency and staying around. Right? It's a lot through all those challenges. The last 5 years didn't make it. Didn't survive. Didn't adapt.
Yep.
Just kind of refused on that side. Seen a lot in maybe the life and health space that moving from field to phones or virtual, they just, hey, I can't do it or can't, don't want to, right? So, and that's part of business is that adaptability. And so, um, and you've been involved, and I'd say part of that is community aspect too, right? Like not working just in a bubble, but pulling from people, ideas, sources, training, mentorship, just like you're helping your team with. But you've been a part of and involved in Rotary for over 36 years and counting.
Right.
what kind of impact has that had on you, your agency, your leadership style, and just relationships?
Yeah, so Rotary has been very important to me. I've got about four things that I do, but it's important enough to me is that, Rotary, just for those who aren't familiar, Rotary International is the world's largest service organization. Okay, so 1.4 million members worldwide. We're in over 200 countries. Every June they have their international convention. Just finished one in Calgary last month. Next year's, I'm looking forward to it. Next June we'll be in Taipei. So I will be at that international convention. And but the Rotary motto is service above self. Okay, so in our district here, we have 62 clubs, essentially from college age on up. College age, they call them Rotaract, and they do service projects and so forth around around their campus and so forth. The other 60 clubs that we have, stretches from basically east of DFW Airport, swings around the south, it goes all the way up to the Oklahoma border. And so each town probably has, 2 or 3 clubs in it. Next year I will be the district governor, so I'll get to visit every one of these clubs.
Congrats.
So I consider it an honor to be elected to that position. And, one of the great things about Rotary is that every year the leadership changes over. So I'll be governor, for 1 year, but it's really about a 4-year process. So it's 2 years leading into it, and then you're the year for governor, and then you're the immediate past governor. And so you are one of the district leaders, and your input is sought really throughout those 4 years. So just to kind of tell you, what we do in international service, my own club, which is the Prestonwood Rotary Club of Dallas, we are very big on an international basis in doing projects, water wells. So I was we went on a cruise in January and went down to Roatan, which is an island just off Honduras, and went to a couple schools there where we put in water wells in the last couple of years. And we have another one that's was going in now. So we went there. We also went to Cozumel. Got to go to a school in there and see how they're utilizing our water system. And it was really amazing to me. They had a school that has roughly just under 900 kids. And it's basically K through 12. So the K through 5th graders go from 7 to noon. The older kids go from noon to 5. And when I was there, they were expanding the bathroom that were there because prior to this, they essentially had a one-hole bathroom for all those kids, as you can imagine. So they had built a separate building and were putting in, utilizing the water system that we put in there. So they now could have basically, 4 different spots in both the men's and women's bathroom. Okay. So, which was great for them because even the girls were saying now we don't have to miss a week of school every month. You don't even think about those things that we get to deal with in the U.S. or don't have to deal with in the U.S., I should say. And just amazing some of the things that Rotary does. So I enjoy the heck out of it. But going back to what does it do? I don't go in there to sell insurance. Obviously, I got in there long before I was in the insurance business. For me, it was about doing service and having the ability to offer things from my business. So not only do, I get people who call me with insurance questions quite a bit, whether it's my attorney will call me about things, tell me about this. Why does this go on in the business? Those kind of things. But I'll get people who will call me and go, look, I had this happen. Do I file a claim? Do I not file a claim? All those kind of things that go on. So, but it's got to the point now, like I will get clubs that will call me and say, will you come and talk to us about insurance? And so I'll do a presentation that I usually start off with the $42,000 Rivian bumper repair. And I put that picture of that up there. Anybody can Google it and see this. But when people ask me why rates cost so much, I can show that picture and I go, what do you think this costs to repair? And people go, oh, $1,800, $2,500. And I go, yep, 42,000. I usually will open with that and then finish at the end of the presentation with, but we talk about all those things. Why are rates so much? Why is this going on and so forth? And so what I find is that just as an add-on to me talking about it, people call me, hey, would you quote me for this? And, sometimes it works. Sometimes our quotes are good. Sometimes they're not, but it always opens it up and gives me an opportunity. If it's not going to work now, let me come back to you in 6 months, a year, and we'll look again. So that's been a nice byproduct of giving service.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's important for everybody listening and to remember, like, this insurance industry, business in general, but especially this industry, it's relationship based, it's connections, and yes, when we lead with value, there's that law of reciprocity, but also just like, why do we do things? We do things to make an impact, whether it's with our family, with, our goals and our visions, or with others and all that. And so it's what you've been doing for so long there. And yeah, it's led to awesome relationships, opportunities out there too, but also just the impact you're going to make from it, which I'm sure is huge. And especially for those that you're doing that for. So I love that. And I think you would encourage others to check out their rotors. I've been a guest at one before. Absolutely. And it was incredible to see there. And I think it's maybe something, maybe it's different out there, but it's something I don't think a lot of younger generation have been exposed to or familiar with as much. And I think it's really incredible what they do through that. So go check out your local Rotary Club, guys.
Check out your local Rotary Club. If you're younger, there's probably a Rotoractor Club, or even if you're a little bit older, my age, or what have you, check out local Rotary Club. Have your kids, your grandkids look at the Interact clubs, which are at high school. But there's so many opportunities, scholarship opportunities for high school kids, as they're heading into college. Rotary does quite a bit on both a local and international basis.
I love that. And not just Rotary, but I mean, you've had a variety of communities, from dog rescue to soccer, as we mentioned earlier, to community leadership. How do you kind of bring that all into the way that you run your business and your relationships? Yeah.
So we're on boxer number 7 that we've rescued. So currently 3 of them, they're there at my house. We failed a couple times with that, and they stayed permanently. My church, we're my wife and I are both very involved with our church and what we do there. Soccer community. I mean, I never played soccer growing up, but just got involved helping out, started coaching, got my licenses. My daughters played all the way up until till college. But I still sponsor. I just sponsored our women's team. So our women's team, we're one of the 8 teams that qualified for nationals in Kansas City last weekend, and nice. Was able to contribute to sending them off for the weekend. They didn't win it all, but I think just getting there was amazing. But again, just like Rotary, I don't do those things because I'm trying to drive my business. I do it for the service aspect, and from that service aspect, I think it pays off. And people just that I've gotten to know through the various networks that I'm involved in, they'll call me or I had one this morning, a guy that I knew from college. We've shared some ideas. He called me and goes, he does some huge insurance, like we were talking about, like one of the things he does is with the big hotel chains, and they, they'll protect, Marriott's and Hilton's and others all the way across the country. So he called me and said, hey, my son-in-law has a landscaping company. Can you help with that? And so yeah, I mean, obviously that's, those are smaller things, smaller businesses are some of the things we do. So So that's a great opportunity, but never would have come around, just if we hadn't talked about it, if he hadn't picked up on what you guys taught me, which was loading up on Facebook and sharing my, here's what I do and so forth. So that goes back to my early days with the Closers Click.
Love it. And part of just like learning social and applying that strategic referral relationships and that continued learning growth and the technology side as well. Part of that adaption and growth is also diversification a little bit. And I'd love you walk me a little bit through, like, yes, as personal lines got tight, how did moving to TWIA and coastal properties, writing a bit more commercial and even expanding to Medicare, how was that played into the growth of your agency?
Oh, yeah, perfect. So TWIA, Texas Wind Insurance Association, will cover those houses where Farmers or another insurance company is not willing to cover it. So obviously we have quite a long coastline in the state of Texas, as you do in Florida, and we're all bound to deal every July through September, October with the hurricane season coming in. So you can see here in Texas, none of the insurance companies want to cover those dwellings, in those two counties along the coast. So the way they look at it is those hurricanes are, it's not if, it's the always when, right? And so in my case, like I will write, we'll write the dwelling itself for the homes, but then we'll go to TWIA and write the wind and hail coverage, which is basically the hurricane coming in. So to tell you how this went about, my wife's family, her stepmother has a home along the coast in Galveston. And she said to me, "Hey, I'm buying this every year. Am I doing this right?" And I said, "You know what? I've never sold one of their policies, but let me look into it." And so I did, and I kind of began a little venture there. So I wound up, actually, I got notice this morning that she renews. So now we're, heading into year number 6, where we've written both the dwelling coverage and written the wind and hail coverage. And she lives there year round. And so there's a community of them that stay there, basically the other 9 months of the year when they don't have activity there constantly like they do during summertime. But, she knows that community, and that community has reached out to me and said, "Can you help me?" And so we've started writing a lot of double policies. And then once we started doing that, of course, we have said to our folks that I work with for the live transfers that we'll take that business along the coast because we know how to write that. And so we had to teach ourselves, what it is, what can we write as farmers, what is farmers not going to write. We've had to learn that. And that's the other thing. So Farmers, unlike some of the other captive agencies that I'm familiar with, Farmers also has opened it up too in the last couple of years for us. So we didn't get into that, but if auto coverage is not competitive, if I can look at Progressive, I can look at National General. If home is not working in this situation, we talked about where they were going to cover around Dallas-Fort Worth or where they're going to cover in the Houston area. If they don't, I have other opportunities I can write outside there. Okay. So we've written things through Chubb and Sage Shore and some of the others, Homeowners of America, et cetera, and been able to find those opportunities. So that has been very helpful. The other areas we also, I came up when I worked for the district, and I was the life and financial services specialist. So I do, I mentioned earlier about able to do mutual funds and so forth. So we are always on the lookout for, whether it's retirement, saving for college, et cetera. So we supplement that with putting those type of products in place, and that's been good. And then a couple of years ago, there was a man that I met he actually is on the other side of Fort Worth, and he had a very small farmer's agency, but most of his business that he was doing was Medicare. And so we've taken over his farmer's part of the book. Okay. And when I have Medicare stuff to do, I got a guy who's, he's been doing it 30 something years, and I'll hand it off to Steve, and then he'll go and write that Medicare business. And so, he's tied in and licensed here through my agency, and it's worked out pretty well there.
I love that full service, right? And
yes, yeah. So the only thing we really don't cover here is health insurance, and so then I'll just share that, with one of the other folks that I've partnered with, and I'll give people, I in a lot of cases I'll say, okay, call this person, or call this person, but kind of the same way when we're dealing with restoration companies or roofers or so forth. I try to give them an opportunity. Hey, here's 4 companies I recommend, and I know they do good work, right? So my referrals are, you can make the choice, but I know these companies will be good for you.
I love that. Once again, a way to provide value, but also get people to people you trust or respect as solutions, so they don't end up somewhere, which maybe isn't the best on that side. So once again, it kind of leads into what we talk about a lot is the power of referrals and that trust, that rapport, and referral partners that can send stuff over, right? And so I love that. And so, and you mentioned you liked this question, so I'm interested in hear what you kind of say around this on what's the one system or tool you'd never give up now that it's a part of your agency. What are some of the key things here?
Once I've hired, hiring, I went through some real painful processes here. And now it's got to the point of the people that I have here in my office, and I have two full-timers. They're the ones I wouldn't give up. I wouldn't have time to do my things like Rotary and other things if they weren't here. And I give all the credit in the world to my office manager, Dorinda, and my sales producer. And if they can continue driving us and making us better, then we'll be in good shape for the long term.
Business is its people, right? Like, in a lot of agents, and listening to me, maybe wearing all the hats at first, but being able to have help, support, and team you can count on is, I'd say, worth its weight in gold, right? And allows you to spend your time on the areas that you need to as well. So,
David, I don't even quote anymore. It would take me an hour to go in and generate a quote. If it wasn't, financial services, life insurance, I can kick one of those out, right, very quickly. But as far as for a home or auto, it would take me a while to go through and do it. When I started out, I could do it, and I could do it very quickly then. And then I said, you know what, my job, I'm driving the business. I'm not inside here doing daily quotes. Okay. So that's what I pay my people for. And I'm out doing the bigger picture things.
Yep. First you work on the business, in the business, and then working on the business now,
business, right?
And last question, I'd love to have you back and discuss more, but for last question for today on what's something people assume about P&C agencies that's just plain wrong?
That, and we get this question all the time, is that we as agents control rates.
I wish, right?
It has so many factors, that come into play here. And, it's what zip code you're in. It's how many claims we've had in your neighborhood over time. Right. So I tell people, well, this claim, this hail claim is not going to make my my cost increases it. And I go, no, that's not it. But everybody else's hail claim in your neighborhood is going to make your rates go up considerably.
Yeah.
So that's what I tell people. It's like, we don't control the rates as much as I would love to. They're set, and hopefully we come back again 6 months to a year, they'll look a little better for you. But no, definitely that's one thing I wish more people understood how this process worked.
Don't get mad at my staff. They don't control your rates. They're just trying to help you, right?
Yes.
So I love that. And thank you so much, Mike, for joining us. For those that want to plug in, follow, connect with you, what's the best place for them to do so?
So be great. You can find me. Obviously, just Google me at Callahan Insurance Agency, Farmers Insurance, Mike Callahan Agency in Garland, Texas. We're on Facebook. You can find us there under the Callahan Insurance Agency, and happy to visit with anybody. So, you got questions? My phone number is on there, and would love to talk to you. Anybody in more detail.
I love it, guys. And guys, once again, reminder, if you go to jumpstartgonow.com/podcast, we'll have the show notes. We'll have how to get connected with Mike. We'll have everything there for you guys. So make sure you guys go and grab it. Mike, thank you so much for coming and joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate you sharing everything here. And thank everybody for listening to this episode of the Modern Insurance Agent Podcast. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks, David. Enjoyed it.